Om oor die geskiedkundige vergadering tussen Ramaphosa en Trump te praat, verwelkom ek AfriForum se hoof van openbare betrekkinge, Erns van Sail, professor Theo Venter van Noordwes Universiteit, professor TK Pauwe van Wits Universiteit en die politieke kommentator Ibrahim Fakir. Theo, so, wie is saam met Ramaphosa op hierdie besoek en hoe behoort die president homself voor te berei vir hierdie ontmoeting?
Wel, ek dink die president is baie goed voorbereid. Hulle is reeds in Washington. Ek dink sy gesprekke met mense in die privaat sektor wat baie werk met die Amerikaners, wat werk met die Withuis, sou gehelp het. Ek dink die feit dat hy die minister van Landbou saamneem, John Steenhuisen, is belangrik vir landbou. Nie noodwendig omdat Steenhuisen wit is nie. Dis die landbousaak, dis AGOA, dis handel. Die feit dat hy vir Park Stow saamvat, is baie belangrik, minister van handel en nywerheid, en dat hy vir Ronald Lamola saamvat, is baie belangrik, hy is die minister van buitelandse sake, en dan neem hy ook die minister in die kantoor van die president saam. Ongelukkig is sy een van die dames wat in die openbaar gesê het, ons gaan ons nie laat boelie nie.
Dis nou Kabucho Ntshavheni.
Dis presies sy. So ek hoop nou maar dat Donald Trump, toe sy dit gesê het, op 'n ander kanaal ingeskakel was en nie op die goeie kanaal nie. Want kyk, die ANC kommunikeer op twee kanale. Een is local consumption en een is external consumption.
Theo, dink jy nie dat die spesiale gesant, BC Jonas, deel van hierdie span moes gewees het?
Ek sou dit doen, want onder normale omstandighede, as daar so 'n vergadering sou plaasvind in die Withuis, dan sou die staatshoof daar wees, met wie hy ook al wil saamneem, plus die ambassadeur in daai besondere land. Ons het nie tans 'n ambassadeur nie, want hy is teruggestuur huis toe. So ek dink dit was dalk 'n goeie geleentheid, maar ek het nie Mcebisi Jonas se naam op die lys gesien nie, so ek neem aan hy is nie daar nie.
Erns, julle het 'n video gemaak oor die raswette in Suid-Afrika. Dit is deur Elon Musk gedeel, dis al meer as 40 miljoen keer gekyk. Donald Trump hou vol dat daar 'n volksmoord in Suid-Afrika is. Dis nie iets wat AfriForum aanvoer nie, maar behoort ons regering om te oortuig dat dit nie die geval is in Suid-Afrika nie.
Wel, ek dink die laaste ding wat ons regering moet doen is om daartoe te gaan en te probeer vir Donald Trump 'n lesing gee, 'n lesing met die trant van moenie jou bedrieglike oë of ore glo nie, vir hom stories vertel van die raswette is positiewe diskriminasie, of die dreunsang kill the boer is maar net 'n metafoor, of dat plaasmoorde is maar net gewone misdaad. Al hierdie tipe lesings wat professor Venter nou van gepraat het, wat ons intern in Suid-Afrika hoor, dink ek nie gaan vlieg in 'n vergadering met Donald Trump nie, want jy gaan eintlik vir hom moet sê, hy moenie die video's en die beeldmateriaal wat hy sien self en die oë wat hy het om te kan lees wat in Suid-Afrika aangaan, moet hy nie glo nie, want dit is besig om vir hom te bedrieg. Daar's eintlik, soos baie van ons politici sover gesê het, niks fout in Suid-Afrika nie. Hulle weet nie eintlik waar die stories vandaan kom dat daar enigiets sleg in Suid-Afrika is.
Abraham, to stay with this issue of the alleged genocide, something that Trump keeps on saying and referencing, do you think it's going to be a good enough argument to say, well, it's not only white people that are being targeted by our astonishingly high murder rate, all South Africans suffer from this? I mean, it's quite embarrassing to say that, you know, if we look at the amount of murders per 100,000, I mean, the South African number is 45 per 100,000, and in the US it's 5.
The nub in your question is the key to this. The question is it a good argument or is it good facts? Now, Mr. Trump is not persuaded by facts, which is why you got to go to the default of making the argument. But how did this argument come about? The argument was fabricated. The argument was falsified. It is just the reality that we've got problems, that we're all faced by those problems. It's not peculiar to white South Africans, it's not peculiar to Afrikaners, but that's the narrative that's been spun, that this is a peculiar problem only pertaining to us, as if the rest of us are immune from this.
But Ibrahim, do you think it's you make that point now? But if our president makes that point, I mean, it's still quite embarrassing.
Of course, it's embarrassing, but we're all embarrassed as South Africans, you know, and we're all saying we're embarrassed by the nature and character of our government. Why are we painting it as if we're singled out by this kind of maltreatment? Firstly, and secondly, that we are special victims of the kind of problems which happen in the society. It's a generalized problem. We're all embarrassed by it. We all have a problem with it. We're all trying to fight it. We're all upset about it. But we don't claim a particular privileged special status about the fact that this is a peculiar victimization only of us.
TK, and this issue of land being confiscated, that's another hot potato that sort of it's being widely debated in South Africa when it comes to the Expropriation Act. That specific clause, nil compensation, what does it mean? Do you think our government's going to be able to make the case that property rights are not under threat in South Africa?
Well, I think it would actually be a very easy argument if you just simply use the US narrative. In the US, they've got this thing called the Domain Act, which says the state has the ability to take the land. And if I'm not mistaken, if you go back to 2020, Donald Trump said something to the pharmaceutical industry. He said, if you do not release the COVID vaccine, the state will simply come in and take it. So I think what our government has not been great at is you need to understand the audience that you're speaking to.
Yeah.
That's why I think Mr. Fakir puts it quite properly by saying, listen, the issue is you don't need to go grovel before Donald Trump. That doesn't work. If you want to do a Zelensky, that's not the best thing you want to do. I think the people that have visited Mr. Trump wants to see power. He wants to see that you can stand up on your own 2 feet. So the way you tell them is to say, listen, there has been no expropriation. The only expropriation that has been is historical. And what we're trying to do is rewrite the wrong. And if you actually read the Expropriation Act, it actually puts everyone, black, white, whatever you fall under. So there's no such thing, and it's actually never been used. So I think it's the issue that I think Prof. Venter put it, you need to understand who you're speaking to in the audience. Donald Trump reacts to audience and ratings. So if you're going to go there and say, listen, I'm speaking only to the South Africans, yes, in part it might work, but I think what we've not done over the last 2 decades is go revisit how South Africa used to be, like a darling in the US. You need to speak their language. You need to say, this is what's happening. And you kind of need to call out, you need to call out the falsehoods and those that perpetuated the falsehoods. Because in the state, they know who these people are. You just need to call them out.
Julle is daarvan beskuldig dat julle valshede versprei. Toe julle in Amerika was, het julle die punt gemaak dat, soos wat Ibrahim nou sê, dat misdaad ensovoorts is nie beperk tot 'n sekere rasgroep in Suid-Afrika nie.
Wel, natuurlik is misdaad nie beperk tot 'n sekere rasgroep nie, maar plaasmoorde is die enigste geweldsmisdaad in Suid-Afrika wat die president openlik ontken op 'n publieke platform, op 'n internasionale platform. Dis die enigste geweldsmisdaad wat aangehits word deur politici in hierdie land, deur dreunsange soos Kill the Boer. Dit is 'n dreunsang wat Afriforum 'n brief aan die president geskryf het toe dit weer op Menseregtedag hierdie jaar gebeur het en vir die president gevra het: veroordeel asseblief hierdie dreunsang, dis die minste wat jy kan doen. En sy reaksie deur sy woordvoerder was: nee, die president gaan nie te doen nie. Hoekom kan hy dit nie doen?
Ek verskil van hom hiervan.
Kan ek dalk praat?
Laat Ernst klaar maak en nou kans gaan.
En dan ook die punt oor die onteieningswet. Ongelukkig wat hier gesê word oor die onteieningswet is nie waar as jy dit gaan lees die inhoud nie. Daar is 'n bedreiging vir privaat eiendomsreg in Suid-Afrika weens hierdie onteieningswet. Want die onteieningswet gee vir die regering die mag om eiendom sonder vergoeding te onteien en dit is wat die ANC vir die afgelope 5 jaar vir ons gesê het hy gaan doen met hierdie onteieningswet. En nou in 2025 moet ons net ewesklik ignoreer al hierdie uitlatings deur die ANC, deur top ANC-leiers soos die president vir die afgelope 5 jaar te sê dit is die doel.
Theo?
Ja, ek verskil met hom. Kyk, wanneer die ANC, kom ons begin by die onteieningswet. Wanneer die ANC praat met sy eie mense, Fikile Mbalula, die president, die adjunkpresident, en sê die onteieningswet gaan ons gebruik om te onteien, praat hy met sy eie gehoor.
Maar jok hy dan?
Nee, maar wag nou, alle politici doen dit. Alle politici praat met sy gehoor en dan wanneer hy buitentoe praat, het hy 'n bietjie van 'n ander prentjie.
Mens
moet oppas, 'n mens moet oppas om die woorde wat hulle gebruik wanneer hulle in 'n spesifieke audience praat te gaan verabsoluteer. Want die oomblik wat hulle na buite toe kom, dan doen hulle dit nie. En die probleem wat ek het en wat ons nou gaan sien Woensdag, ons praat nou asof ons die agenda gaan bepaal in die Withuis. Donald Trump bepaal die agenda. Ons is die toehoorders. Donald Trump is 'n slegte luisteraar, maar hy's 'n goeie prater. Met ander woorde, wat ons moet gaan doen daar, ek dink glad nie, ons moet enige van hierdie punte wat nou genoem word opper nie, want dit gaan net 'n groot klomp verskille veroorsaak. Ons moet gaan met praktiese voorstelle, wat kan ons doen? As ons enige ander strategie het, gaan ons tweede kom.
Ibrahim, I see you want to get in here.
Prof. Venter is absolutely right. Every politician speaks in that way with folk tongue. John Stearnism does the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll speak from both sides of his mouth.
But AfriForum just chooses to believe them.
Okay, but AfriForum has also done the following. You have gone and said that you're special victims of specific crimes, which is untrue. Farm murders affect black farm workers more than they do actually
Even
farm
English-speaking people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Point number one. Point number two. Let's look at the Expropriation Act and read it with some degree of comprehension. There is no power for the state in the Expropriation Act. to willy-nilly expropriate. There are 3 steps that have to be followed. The first is you lay an objection. If your objection is not satisfactorily arbitrated, you go to court. A court then sets aside a decision or reinforces it or comes up with a new solution. And then you go to a second arbitration. So there are all these steps which have been built into the Expropriation Act. Yet, those are not the facts which have been presented. An argument has been constructed that this is some willy-nilly extraordinary power given to the state. The US exercises exactly that when he talks about domain.
Tika, I mean, we talk about the president or President Trump not wanting a lecture, and he's going to set the agenda. But these are things that he's been very vocal about in terms of executive orders and speeches in public. So is the expectation not that he will reference these issues that we've been discussing?
Oh, I think you do, but the hope would be, and this is maybe I'll call it the goldfish argument with Donald Trump, depends who was in his ear the last time he spoke, right? And because if you remember properly, Donald Trump in his first term really didn't care about South Africa. There's certain parties that brought it to their attention. So if I was the president, look, I think Prof. Brent is quite right. You don't get to dictate how he's going to react, but you get to dictate how you're going to react. And I think this is where I always call it strategy and tactics. What we should be really thinking about, and what the president should be thinking about, is while in the US, start campaigning. Literally start making sure that you go speak to the Black Caucus, you go speak to those Americans, because that's the beauty of America. You go speak to those American groups that do not want President Donald Trump. At the moment, Donald Trump is really trying to cover himself because he's kind of tanked the economy. And that's what you need to be focusing on, to say, listen, we are an opportunity. At the same time, last week he was in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. You can actually just tell him, President Trump, what you've been doing in the Middle East is what we've actually been calling for, that we need to kind of have a Bosporus between the Middle East and Israel. So you basically flatter him, tell him he's correct, tell him he's right, confuse him. That's what you do with Donald Trump.
There's still much to discuss here.